Welcome into Three Questions with Ivan Maisel, where Ivan brings his insight on all things college football to us here on a weekly basis. Ivan, the first round of the college football playoff rankings, they're out now, came out last night. Want to get your thoughts, so that'll be the first question. What are your first impressions of the way the committee stacked these teams together within the top six specifically?
Well, I was surprised Alabama was sixth ahead of TCU, starting from the bottom. The resume, we all know it's Alabama, but it's a narrow victory at Texas and a narrow loss to Tennessee. A&M, Bryce Young wasn't playing. Okay. On the other hand, Alabama plays at LSU Saturday, and if they beat the number 10 team, then it's all moot anyway. But a little surprised at Michigan behind Clemson, the 4-5 slots. But Michigan didn't play anybody before the Big Ten schedule, so they're going to have to own that. And then I think everybody expected, the way that the committee has always done its work, that Tennessee would be number one. Little surprised that Ohio State was ahead of Georgia, but again, Saturday in Athens will sort that out.
The beautiful thing about all of this is we get sort of the extended playoff in November. Like, in my opinion, I know there's a lot of conversation about wish the extended playoff was coming here sooner and we got that in a quicker fashion, but we get November, which at this point in the year is just about as good as the expanded playoff, obviously, with Tennessee playing Georgia and LSU playing Alabama, so that'll be a whole lot of fun. You mentioned it a little bit, but what are some of the edits you would make to what the committee did last night? I know there were some surprises, but what specific edits do you think are warranted from last night's results?
Well, I think as directly affects what we will see in the New Year's Six Bowls, I'm really surprised that Tulane was all the way down at 19, especially because of that win over Kansas State, which looks really good now. Tulane still is the highest Group of Five team. And if they win out, they'll be in. But I was just a little disappointed they were that low. More toward the top. I think TCU was shortchanged, given the fact that the Frogs have 4 wins over ranked teams. And, you can make the argument, well, they've had to come back, to win games, or you can make the argument, hey, they're really good. They came back and won games. I mean, it's all in how you accent the words. Again, TCU, they got to win at Texas. They got to win at Baylor. Then they'll have to beat probably K-State again, so we'll find out about them. But I thought they deserved better than 7.
And that Tulane-UCF matchup just became a ranked matchup. So that'll be a lot of fun for those of you that enjoy the Group of Five brand of football. But no, I think what you said is exactly on the money. Like, this whole thing will eventually play itself out. But, we like to talk about the rankings and what they got right, what they got wrong. In terms of teams that are outside of that top 6, like maybe we're looking more towards, 8 on down, 7 on down. What program do you expect could potentially push from that group all the way into the top 4 when this thing is all said and done?
Well, I think you have to look at Oregon at number 8. Even with the loss to Georgia, let's not forget that in 2014, the first year of the playoff, Ohio State lost by 3 touchdowns to Virginia Tech. It was not a team that was all that good. Is that equal to a 46-point loss? Probably not, but if Oregon runs the table, I think they got a good chance of getting there. And then look, Illinois, they're in the teens, but they went out. They would have beaten Michigan and Ohio State, or Michigan and Michigan, and both ways, they'll be 12-1 and the champion of the Big Ten. With I think 12 straight wins, right? So you got to pay attention to the Illini.
Any way you brand it, Illinois, I think you're right on the money. Like, they control their own destiny within the Big Ten, and I think we're all kind of just penciling in like, hey, it'll be the winner of Michigan, Ohio State, and then maybe whoever loses that game, if they're undefeated, maybe they get a spot in the playoff. But Illinois is going to be a tough task, whether it's Ohio State or Michigan. If they end up playing in the Big Ten title game, I know Michigan is going to play Illinois anyways, but that's going to be an interesting one to watch. I think another team that you could throw in the mix, staying in the Pac-12 in regards to Oregon, USC. I mean, if they beat UCLA and let's say Notre Dame finds a way to beat Clemson this weekend, I think that probably fattens the calf a little bit there for USC as well in that game. So I'm just curious to see how they treat the Pac-12. I mean, I know there's a whole lot of conversations every single year of a one-loss Pac-12 champion versus a one-loss insert other Power 5 conference here, runner-up. Would imagine that's like a Michigan or Ohio State this coming year, but it's going to be a lot of fun, and I know this is just the tip of the iceberg for us for talking about these rankings and where the committee was right or was wrong, but you know, it's going to be a good time. I'm already looking forward to it. Ivan, what are you doing this coming weekend? Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. No, I was saying we might revisit it over the next month, but I'm going to Athens along with the rest of humanity. So I think given the fact that Tennessee is number one, I don't know that it'll affect the Georgia team, but the Georgia fans will be annoyed. So I think the atmosphere ratcheted up a notch with the rankings coming out.
And I believe Georgia's number one in the AP poll. So, I mean, CBS, the ball's in your court. If you want to do a score bug with a number one ranked Tennessee and a number one ranked Georgia, like I'm just saying, ratings, if you're trying to juice them, that might be one way to do it. But, I mean, Kirby Smart also issued the call to action to the Georgia faithful. Like, if you can talk the next day, if you can talk on Sunday in church, like you didn't cheer loud enough. So, very, very much envious of you being in that stadium. And, as always, living vicariously through you in our Sony Stadium here in Nashville. But, Ivan, as always, thanks so much for joining us and bringing some insight. Folks, if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. Follow Ivan on Twitter. Stay up with every single thing that we're doing here. Ivan, thanks again, and we will see you next week. Hey, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.